Hi, my name's Andrew Blake. I'm Chief Technology Officer at SpatialBuzz, and today I'm going to talk about the sad fact that I think that operators have lost sight of what their core product is, and that's the network.
Good afternoon now. My name's Andrew Blake. I'm Chief Technology Officer at SpatialBuzz. And I'm pleased to talk to you over the next 20 minutes about something that actually really irritates me. And that's the open secret that as telcos, we're actually not that good at customer experience. Why is that? Well, in my opinion, I think it's because we've lost sight of what our core product is, the thing that our customers pay us month in, month out for. A network that works wherever they are, whenever they want to use it. So don't just take my word for it. Let's look at some research from the Institute of Customer Service that actually we've just had from Joe. The sad truth is that we're right at the bottom. How embarrassing is that? We're below public transport and the utilities. I don't know about you, but that makes me feel uncomfortable. Over the last years, we've probably all been to conferences like this where we congratulate ourselves about how well we're doing at customer experience. So why is it we're still at the bottom? We must realize we're no longer competing against other operators. We're actually competing against the likes of Amazon and Apple. And they've set that benchmark really high. We need to wake up as an industry and refocus on what our core product is, the network. So let's compare some companies that I use regularly. About once a month, me and my wife like to go to Pizza Express. A nice candle on the table is nice for a bit of ambience, but actually, unsurprisingly, it's the core product is pizza. For about £40, we get pizzas, some wine, and if we feel like it, a cheeky pudding. And if we were to experience a problem, I know who to talk to, I speak to the waiter, and they'll sort it out. I've banked with First Direct now for over 20 years. A nice to have nowadays would be a little bit of interest, but you can't ask for everything, I guess. Although I know the core product is keeping my money safe. In all that time, I've never had any incidents where they actually have lost any of my money. But I know that if I did, I could call someone 24/7 and within a few rings actually speak to a human and they'll sort it out. So let's contrast that with my mobile operator. I'm not going to name any names for obvious reasons. Now, I roam reasonably often, and so my bills can be actually several hundreds of pounds, which is considerably more than I spend with everybody else. It's nice to have shiny shops and the latest smartphones, but really, it's the network that I want. And yet I experience some sort of network problem nearly every day. A dropped call, slow data, or even sometimes just getting service when I'm indoors. And typically, the only channel open to me is to call the call center. But I know that that would be a world of pain, so I don't bother. I just put up with it. I bide my time, wait until my contract expires, and then I churn, hoping that the next guys will be at least something a little bit better than the last ones. But I'm not holding my breath. And I don't think I'm that different from anybody else. So, networks are difficult. We all know this. There's a huge number of boxes, thousands of pieces of equipment, and we've even merged networks to make life more difficult for ourselves. So the number of legacy systems out there is huge. Not only that, we've actually got the laws of physics to contend with. The network is a living, breathing thing that goes wrong all the time. Managing the engagement with customers when things go wrong is actually key. There are always going to be network problems because of that engagement. There's always an element of your customer base that are impacted by a change or an issue. So we've done some research with a Tier 1 operator and found that at any given time, there's about 6% of your infrastructure that supports your customers that's been impacted by that change or issue. So managing customer expectations and experience is crucial to their satisfaction. Okay, so what we've seen in some of our customer deployments is that not only do you manage individual customer expectations, we also manage the dissent that goes on outside of those channels that you own. You're not going to completely stop people going to Twitter to complain, or to say negative things. But what you can give them is the opportunity to find out more about what's happening, to manage that dissent. So these are just a few of the examples, major examples that have gone on over the last couple of years. But remember, there are more localized issues that are impacting customers all the time, and they don't make the press. It's those issues that are perhaps impacting them even more because they grind down customer satisfaction day in and day out. If you can engage your customers when they initially feel like they've got a problem and give them periodic updates as to how you're going about fixing it, then you can really help manage that expectation and the dissent that comes from experiencing an outage. So that's essentially what we do. We help you engage with your customer for the thing that they pay for, not just on a normal day, but on days when you have problems. So what should you do? What should your customers do when the network that they're paying for doesn't work? Move location, wait until things improve, or perhaps just learn to live with it. It's no wonder that telcos are held in such low regard. So again, what do you want your customers to do when the network they're paying for doesn't work? And the answer can't be just call the call center. You've got to give customers easy-to-use self-care channels on mobile and web apps where they can find out what's going on and you can keep them up to date. The good news is that some operators have seen the light and are taking steps to fix it. So, hopefully by now, we all agree that the primary thing that people are paying for is a network. Everything else is secondary. It's no surprise that you've got great investment into improving and optimizing that network. It's the bread and butter of what you guys do, and it has been for years. What comes less naturally is that transparent and open engagement actually is the same thing too. It often feels like the network is take it or leave it basis. It makes good business sense for operators to develop better ways of engaging your customers about it. Now, unsurprisingly, I've not yet met a service provider that hasn't claimed to be customer-centric. So I thought it would be useful to put together this simple model to help measure how well each operator is engaging with a customer about the thing that matters most. So a few words of explanation. Firstly, it is a simple model, but it exposes that actually there's a big distance that a lot of operators have got to go before they can claim to be customer-centric. Step one, it's about coverage maps. You think that that was a fundamental thing, but actually in some countries it just doesn't happen. You have this situation where customers are tied in to long contracts, and yet the thing that they've paid for hasn't ever been quantified. I can't think of another industry where that unjustifiable level of customer service exists. The excuses vary from the regulator won't allow it to our competitors don't do it, so why should we? The second step is about letting your customers know where there's a problem with the network. It's about being open and transparent. And this is a real change for many operators, but actually it becomes easier when you accept that actually most customers don't trust you. Or to put it another way, you can only make it better by being more open and honest. So I encourage operators to surprise their customers, to actually develop trust by letting customers know if there's a problem that might impact them. Trusting customers will spend more money as well. It's another open secret that actually most coverage maps are a little bit optimistic. No laughing at the back, please. Operators know it and so do their customers. And very often, customers will know there's a problem with the network even before you do. So why not let your customers tell you they're having an issue? That's where step 3 comes in. By engaging your customers about the thing they most care about, you're showing that you care about it too. If you're not meeting your customers' expectations, then you've got an unhappy customer and potentially someone who will churn. So let's give customers a channel so that you can do something about it. Step 4 is about avoiding customers having that I've just communicated into a black hole feeling. Now that usually happens for 2 reasons. The first is there really is a black hole. The operator doesn't have any systems or processes to deal with that feedback. The second is because culturally, operators forget to tell the customers about all the good work that they're doing. The job is only done when the boxes have green lights, the problems have been fixed, and you've let your customers know. The final step is about making it more personal, and that means understanding who the customer is, what experience they've had over a period of time, and what fixes should be going on to prioritize and fix it for that customer. Nobody likes being treated like a number. So is step 5 nirvana? I don't think so. You're always going to be able to do things more quickly and communicate more meaningfully. Okay, so I've got a couple of case studies now. The first is Rogers in Canada. They're a tier 1 operator. They deployed SpatialBuzz about 2 years ago, and in the process moved from just a level 1 through to about level 3 in our maturity model. These screenshots come from their website. On the left, we have the coverage checker, and that allows potential customers to ask simply, what service will I get at this location, anywhere across the whole of Canada? Now, those coverage checks are really, really useful because actually it allows you to plan your network expansion based on real demand, not just what marketing think. On the right, we have the status checker. This allows someone to find out what the service should be like at this very second. In this particular example, the customer searched for a location, and Roger said, actually, we're not aware of any issues. The customer disagreed, and the customer told the operator a little bit more information about what was going wrong. And that allows the operator then to really understand the nature of the fault. Okay, so case number 2 is O2 UK. So O2 UK have about 33 million customers using their network every day, and that's across a variety of brands that we support, some of which I think are on the top of those league tables earlier on. They've been working with us since 2011, and over that time they've gone from a level 1 through to level 5 late last year. Okay, it's not working. So, if an O2 customer has a problem, they can either just visit status.o2.co.uk. So very simple to find on Google, even easier on their website, and get a quick response from O2 as to what's going wrong. So in this particular example, we've searched for a location. Actually, O2 have been open and honest with the fact that actually this fault that they've discovered is actually not to do with network alarms or trouble tickets. This is because other customers have been checking. And it's the fact that they've used these crowdsourced outages that they've got some real insight into what customers are feeling. And they've also provided the ability through this Keep Me Posted to sign up for alerts throughout the life cycle of that fault, so that the customer efforts reduce, so they don't need to keep coming back and check. Now they can do that through mobile, email, or Twitter. If the area turned out to be green, the customer would have been given the opportunity actually to disagree, to report a problem and provide more information. Now the SpatialBuzz system continuously monitors the checks so that the messaging going back to customers is really pertinent, and O2 have always got the opportunity to jump in and tweak that messaging. So what does a customer-shaped network look like? Well, it starts by plugging the voice of the customer directly into the NOC, Network Operations Center, an organization that traditionally only looks at flashing lights and racks of equipment. The first 2 steps were the hardest, but once you've reached level 2, you've already been open and honest and transparent about the health of the network, so why not capitalize on the information that gives? One of the comments we sometimes hear from operators that are either pre-level 1 or at level 1 on our maturity scale is that their customers won't use a status checker. So I thought I'd share with you today some screenshots from what would have been seen on those heads-up displays in the O2 NOC during this major service failure. So we're going to focus on this graph, the top left here. This shows the status checks across the whole of the UK for the last 36 hours. Blue are advisor checks from the call center. Green are from self-care. Typically, we'd expect over 24 hours to see about a 60% self-care. This chart here shows the last 5 minutes. And it shows the ratio for those 5 minutes of the particular check. So we can see that typically, at this time of day, we'd have about 50 checks per 5 minutes. But around 5 o'clock on this particular day, something just snapped. The network broke, and we've gone to 10 times that level. And that's well into red alert territory. Now, as time progresses, as I flick through the slides, we can see that more and more customers are starting to become impacted by the problem. They're simply asking, is it just me? Well, in this case, we can see that it wasn't. We've gone from 50 to 4,000 checks in 5 minutes. So over the next few hours, while the call center teams have gone home, the status checker was able to cope with the deluge of checks that were coming in, providing customers with information about what was happening. So by using SpatialBuzz, O2 were able to get an early heads up that something major was wrong, engage with their customers, and actually tell them that they knew there was a problem. Keep them up to date about what was being done to fix the issue, and in the end, also validate that the problem had been fixed. After all, customers don't check for fun, they only check if they've got a problem. Now, fortunately, major service failures don't occur that often, but changes and outages on the network impact customers every day. So this short time-lapse animation shows an incident evolving from the first customer checking through to the outage being fixed. Again, green are self-care and the blue are from the call center agents. The dots on the map represent where people are checking. The first check arrived about midnight. At that stage, O2 didn't know there was a problem, and the customer actually then disagreed and said, actually there is. They chose to be kept up to date. At 6 a.m., sufficient people had woken up to find no coverage, so our system detected that there was indeed a problem, and we notified the customer that a fault had been detected and was now being investigated. Around 10 a.m., the cluster was one of the worst in the UK and was prioritized for special handling. It turned out there had been a big piece of equipment failure on the site, but it was going to take a while to repair. So the SOC kept the customers updated about what was happening via text and emails, and then finally let them know that everything was resolved. There's no getting around the fact that customers were impacted by this issue, but their dissatisfaction was managed through the life cycle of that regular engagement. Okay. So, last slide. We need to stop drinking our own Kool-Aid and accept that we've got a lot more work to do. It's the network that customers want. Nirvana would be a perfect network, but let's be realistic. We've got to engage our customers about the core product. The call center alone is not the answer. We've got to give them meaningful two-way self-care channels, and we should use that customer intelligence to actually improve the network. So that's it for me, but one final question would be, where are you on that network maturity scale? Thank you.